Welcome to 28.5 Women's Basketball, where we explore a unique and authentic perspective on the women's game, break down upcoming matchups, and discuss the latest news and trends in women's basketball. We are your hosts. I'm Sydney Story, and I played basketball at the University of Tennessee under Pat Summitt.
And I'm Becca Goodman, and I played at the University of Notre Dame under Muffet McGraw. And we're thrilled to have you join us today. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoy what you hear, be sure to tune in each week and don't forget to follow, download, and listen to give an assist and share the love. Now let's get started with today's episode.
Becca, how's it going?
Oh, Sid, first and second rounds are done and I'm still stressed. But other than that, I'm good. How are you?
Well, it's a good thing you're on vacation. You're down in Alabama. I'm about to be in Florida. It's like the time of the year, Sweet 16, Elite 8, into the Final Four, spring break time. So it's like wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's extremely busy, but the best kind of busy. Travel, basketball, debrief it, and get together to chat with you and share with our listeners. So no better time, I think.
Yeah. So let's jump right in. It is that time of the year. Tourney time. We are in the thick of tourney time, to be honest. So it's great. So we've got a full 4 quarters for you. The first quarter, we're going to talk about some of those first round upsets. The second quarter, we're going to hit some of the second round upsets. So all games that have been played so far, where the tournament's sitting after those games there. Third quarter, we're going to talk about those Sweet 16 matchups. And then that fourth quarter, we're going to recalibrate our Final Four picks after a season-ending injury with JuJu Watkins. So it changes things maybe a little bit here, but we're going to kind of walk through what we're thinking for the Final Four. So with that, let's get rolling. Let's do this.
Yeah, let's jump into that first quarter where we're really going to touch base on those first round upsets. The first round is so important for you to set the tone, right? It's for those higher seeds, you want to come in, make sure you get a nice win under your belt. Kind of, some teams have been off maybe a week, maybe more, maybe less. So it's really just getting your feet under you, realizing that it's do or die, win or go home. But the first two, unfortunately, that we're going to talk about we had 2 upsets for the 8 and 9 seed games, which is interesting because those 8 and 9 seeds are really they're almost equal, right? In every way, shape, and form. Like a lot of times you're seeing a 1 versus 16 or a 2 and so the spread is not as far apart. And obviously these are teams that have been ranked or not ranked and kind of falling in the same category. So number 9, Richmond upset number 8 Georgia Tech pretty convincingly by a score of 74-49, which we've chatted a lot about Georgia Tech as a whole, the program they have, the leadership, the coaching. So what did you think about this one just when you saw the number at the end? What was your first impression?
My first thought was good for Richmond. Way to come in and
Yes.
absolutely take care of business. That's what you want to be doing this time of year. And on the flip side, pretty bad for Georgia Tech. Like they really did not hold up to the standards and what they were capable of this year. They had a really good start to the season. And then at the point, midway to towards the end of conference, they kind of fell apart. So we were highlighting them as that being a good matchup for Notre Dame. And they had lost the game before, turnaround. Notre Dame beats them pretty handedly. So I just think they kind of fell apart midway through the season. And if you look at this score, 74-49, they really never picked it back up, got better in the back half of the season. And that score is pretty telling for sure.
Yeah. And props to Richmond. They also had a really competitive second round game. They were playing super confident. So some nights it's just one team is hitting shots and has that balloon of confidence. And that's where it can get scary in March. If you give a team confidence, they can make a run. So the other one that we're going to chat just quick on is the number 9 Mississippi State upset number 8 Cal 59-46. A bit of a closer matchup there. Again, those 8-9 seed games, it's going to be tough to call either way ahead of time, but interesting that 2 of the 4 ended up in an upset.
Yeah, absolutely. Fun to see Mississippi State win there. They've had some good runs in March Madness over the course of the past 10 to 15 years. So to see them relevant and win that game is good. Cal, we highlighted them a couple times this year. Really didn't have a stellar season. I think they'll be back next year. We'll see how they can reload and see what they can do with, because I think they've got good coaching and I think they're capable of bringing a little bit more, but a good win for Mississippi State overall.
Definitely.
All right, let's jump into the second group of games we want to talk about within this first round. So those 7 and 10 seeds. So we saw some upsets here. So number 10, South Dakota State, which we highlighted them when they had played Duke really early in the season as a very good team. And sure enough, they upset number 7 seed Oklahoma State 74-68. The Jackrabbits, and we highlighted this as one to circle on your brackets as a potential upset. They sure enough did it. They ended up beating Oklahoma State there. Pretty good score, pretty good margin.
Yes, isn't it crazy? South Dakota State, they came into March Madness with a record of 29-3. They came in only losing 3 games. So imagine the high that team is feeling, the confidence, and just the overall camaraderie, right? When you're that comfortable and you haven't seen many losses throughout the season, I think that's pretty telling. Obviously, a great win for them. They did kind of run into a tough team that second round playing UConn where they ended up losing, but 30-4 on the season for South Dakota State, I think that's amazing. I think they're a program that's really starting to get on the map for the best reasons.
Absolutely. I think we'll be talking about them next year. I honestly do. Like, they schedule a decent non-conference. We mentioned they played Duke. Like, they're not afraid to schedule some teams. So I think we'll be probably highlighting them next year also. So a good first round win for them. In the second game we wanted to highlight here, number 10, Oregon upset number 7, Vandy in overtime, which, boy, oh boy, did Vandy have to claw back to even put themselves in contention for this game. So it does go to overtime. Oregon does win this one 77-73. This one, I thought Vandy was going to bring a little bit more than they did. I think Vandy's going to be even better next year. We'll see. But Oregon really, really got this win, and I thought it was a good win for the Oregon program.
No, without a doubt. I think this was one of them that I called, and I know I was texting you about because I was like, Sid, can you believe it? This might actually happen. But I just think Vandy had such a good season. There's no ill will here, no reason to harp on them. I think, coming into the tournament, both these teams had lost 11 games, 10 games, so pretty evenly matched up and had never played this season. So definitely interesting to see, and props to Oregon, without a doubt, for getting that win. Let's jump into our second quarter and talk about some second round upsets. Crazy part about this one, folks, is all 3 upsets that happened in the second round were all the 5-4 games. Sid, just initially, what do you think when you hear that?
I think it's kind of crazy because as we all know in the women's game, those 4 seeds are the home courts here. So these 5 seeds had to come in on the opposing team's home court and beat them. And 3 for 3, these teams did it, which is pretty cool to see, actually.
I think that is such a good fact that you mentioned, playing, the 6th man of the arenas and where they are and where a team is familiar. Sometimes that just catches up with you. Notre Dame, I think it was my sophomore year, we had a bad L in the first or second round at home where you just get overconfident. You just think it's, you're going to match up and it's going to be no problem, but sometimes that catches up for sure. So jumping into that first one, number 5, Kansas State upset number 4, Kentucky. And this game went into overtime. Kansas State was able to pull this off 80-79, and they had a shooter that was lights out. Poindexter was hitting from everywhere. At one point, I'm like, there's no way she could hit another one because she had already had 4 or 5 that were just clutch. But time after time, she just delivered. And man, it was a really good game. Really stinks to see Georgia Amore had an opportunity to win it she passed the ball in from out of bounds and cut and had a shot. Missed it, no big deal. But you know what I loved about her post-game press conference was she said, one missed bucket or one shot is not going to define my career. And I think that was just absolutely amazing. And what a way to go out. I think we've talked about Kentucky in a not a good and bad, but like an up and down type way. And we really had some high hopes for them going into the end of this season. So to take a loss at home is absolutely tough, but new coach, new program, new players, a lot of good stuff rolling in Kentucky.
Yeah, I hope that they hit the transfer portal a little bit here. We'll see who they bring in from the high school level. I think they need a little bit more depth, especially if you're going to play consistently in the SEC all year. So not a bad season for Kentucky. I think we thought they were capable of a little bit more. And you mentioned the up and down. I think that was certainly a factor for them. And we thought that they were peaking at the right time, thought that they could make a deeper run here. But Kansas State, kudos to them. I thought they played really well and really stuck it right to Kentucky on their home court again, which is not easy to do in that little arena where the fans feel like they're on top of you in Kentucky there. So good game overall.
Definitely.
The next one we wanted to talk about is the Lady Vols. Woo,
Ooh.
let's go. So we did upset number 4 Ohio State at Ohio State by a score of 82-67. And this was a fun game to watch. I thought we played pretty well. The things that Tennessee are trying to do, what we're trying to do with Kim Caldwell and her new scheme and what she's bringing to the game, Tennessee did a lot of those things. So coming into every game, they're trying to outshoot every opponent by 20 plus shots. They did that. Coming into every game, they're trying to shoot the 3-ball like crazy and make threes. They did that when they needed to. I think the big glaring thing to me still is our defense, right? We can beat a number 4 seed Ohio State, but how does this look when we have to turn around and play Texas? Our defense really needs to continue to button up. We can't give easy looks, especially in the transition where it's an easy 2. So I'm hoping that we're able to fine tune some of those things against Texas. And it obviously helps when we're scoring 3s versus their 2, but it's hard to rely on that every game here, especially in a tournament like March Madness where you have to come in, do or die consecutively for these games. So it'll be interesting to see how they turn around here. Hopefully they have some good practices and are able to turn around and play Texas again. We're going to highlight that coming up here in the third quarter a little bit more, but great win for the Lady Vols. Was super pumped to see this. Cody McMahon from Ohio State already out there saying she's going to be in the transfer portal, which is interesting for those Ohio State Buckeye fans. Yeah, crazy, right? Because she was definitely their star player this year. So to see her enter that transfer portal, I'm sure there are some coaches that are like, oh man, how do I get this chick to come play for me? I think it's an interesting one, right? I thought she definitely showed some attitude in that Tennessee game, right? She was talking a little smack to Coach Caldwell, to the Tennessee team when she's slapping high fives. And I get it. She's a competitor. I respect that piece of it. But some of those coaches might have seen that, right? So it'll be interesting to see where she ends up. But all in all, a good game and a good win for the Lady Vols.
Wouldn't it be nuts if she ended up at Tennessee?
It would be nuts. Especially since she was talking trash.
I just think that's something, though, that, like, you know, certain coaches see that and they're like, I need that. I need what people would call that dog, that person to just go in there and say what it is to get your team fired up. And I'm like, wouldn't that be nuts if Caldwell was like, let me just get her. Let me pick her up. I need that. That's what we need.
Maybe. I could see her landing in the SEC. I mean, it'd be weird if to me, it's a little weird if you transfer still within conference. Like maybe she goes to another Big Ten school, but I kind of could see maybe her heading down south a little bit. Who knows? We'll find out.
Pins and needles will be waiting. And let's jump into that last second round upset. Number 5 Ole Miss pulled off the win against number 4 Baylor, 69-63. This game went back and forth, but also Ole Miss started out so rough. I mean, Madison Scott, you could tell, was frustrated. She was literally egging her team on, like in their faces in the huddle, visibly frustrated, but in the best way, because obviously it motivated them enough to not only get this win, but to continue to compete. And she realized they weren't playing to their potential, which I think half the time that's the battle these days is kids, players, female athletes, right? We just kind of settle for what it is instead of somebody stepping up, being that voice and just changing the temperature. And I think she absolutely did that. And it resulted in a win for them. I mean, props to Ole Miss. This was something that we kind of hoped for all year for them. And it was absolutely a good round. And to get an upset against the number 4 at Baylor, I mean, I think it was pretty telling for them and a good little pat on the back for them to end their season.
Yeah, heck of a win for Ole Miss there. Absolutely. One thing I do want to mention before we jump to the third quarter here around these second round games was the Alabama versus Maryland game. One of the best games I've seen in a long time. Like if you watch this game, it was March Madness plus. Like it was just, it had all the feels. So let's highlight it a little bit. I think it deserves that attention. So Maryland completed a 17-point comeback to win this game. Again, it goes into double overtime. So they win this game 111 to 108. It was an absolute thriller over Alabama. So Maryland advances to the Sweet 16 for the fourth time in 5 years. And this is where I'm talking about, I don't think Rhonda Freeze gets her flowers like she should.
Yeah.
She is a hell of a coach. Alabama hasn't reached the Sweet 16 in 27 years. So you kind of feel for Alabama because it's been a long drought.
I do.
Yeah. Yep. And this is the only second round matchup of this tournament in which the number 4 seed was able to beat the number 5 seed again on the home court there with the home court advantage. So there has never been a Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament without at least one number 4 seed. So that continues through. Sarah Ashlee Barker, you had mentioned this. You were like, I'm taking Alabama in this game because of this chick. And it goes into double overtime. Like it was such a toss up this game for sure. But Barker finished with a program high 45 points on 17 of 25 shooting. She hit all 3 free throws to tie the game with less than a second remaining. That sends it into double OT. Unbelievable performance from Sarah Ashlee Barker. Like one of the best performances I've seen just overall for the feel of the game for both teams. But from her, unbelievable what she did in that game.
Yeah, and to hit free throws with little to no, I would say no time, right? Because at that point with like 0.7, you have to go the length of the court. To hit those free throws knowing it's win or it's tie and continue or go home. The pressure, and it's at an away game. I mean, it like this game, I called her out before, but I think this game highlighted how much of a workhorse she is. She is nonstop. She's going to give you everything she has. Starters fouled out left and right. I think by the end of the overtime in the game itself, they were down to like 1 or 2 starters. 3 had fouled out, and some in regulation, not even in overtime. So this was key for her. Obviously, she was the go-to. She just showed up time and time again, and you could tell she was tired, but she was also like looking over at the bench and like smiling and loving the moment. And great for her because her WNBA stock just went through the roof with this game. Period.
That's a hell of a call there. Good for her. Well deserved. And what a game that was. So we'll see Maryland advance to the Sweet 16 there. Let's jump into our third quarter, which is all about those Sweet 16 matchups. So we talked about this before, how there was the potential for a lot of repeat games and the way the committee had set up the brackets this year. So we're going to talk through some of those, right? I think they're worth calling out. So the first one here, we've got North Carolina versus Duke. So that in-conference rivalry matchup, that's going on today at 2:30. It is their third time playing. They're currently split 1-1. We'll see where it goes. It's a toss-up to me. I think UNC is capable of bringing it. They have the guards to do it. Duke needs to absolutely come out there and play. Fournier hopefully is back and healthy. She had sat out the previous matchup. So we need, if she's back, I think Duke can do it, but they're going to have to bring some offense. We talk about that a lot. And it's the first time North Carolina and Duke are meeting in the NCAA tournament on the women's side. I just think that seems weird, right?
They meet how many times throughout the year in conference? I mean, I feel like this game is on everyone's calendar every year. How have they not ever met in the tournament? That's insane. It's really insane. But I'm excited for it. I'm going to roll with Duke. I just think they've really showed who their identity is as a team. I hope Fournier is back. Obviously, they're better with her, but for them to win the games that they have, right? Oregon was a good competitor coming off a high versus beating Vandy. I just think their defense and their consistent defense is going to get the job done. But man, it's going to be a great game. Very excited to watch this one.
Absolutely. I still have not seen a team rotate in their defense like Duke does. Like unbelievable how disciplined they are on defense. That's going to be difficult for North Carolina here. So I agree. I would take Duke as well. Second one we want to mention here is Notre Dame versus TCU. That's on Saturday at 1:00 Eastern time. And I'm going to let you take this one, Becca. All you.
Well, we know that this is a rematch from when they beat us in the Cayman Islands. We didn't have the best tournament, right? We lost to TCU and then we lost to Utah. But I just really hope, no. I know Notre Dame is going to be ready to rock it. I know they're going to have some saltiness in their mouth from that first time they played. They're salty from being a 3 seed instead of a 2, so that they get the opportunity to play the 2. I think we're going to be coming out firing on all cylinders. Obviously, rocking with Notre Dame, always and forever. But I hope it's like a statement game for us, because I think that's what everybody, the outside world, assumes or expects it to be. And I just want us to like match that level and just and surpass it. I want it to be convincing. I want it to be a nice 10-point, like, boom, we should have been a 2. That's what I want. That's all I want for Christmas, Easter, summer, everything. Just get this nice win, keep it moving.
I honestly, to me, it goes one of two ways. It's close down the stretch and it's a toss up, or Notre Dame wins by 20. And I think Notre Dame, to your point, is going to come out with vengeance here. They have double chip on their shoulder, already lost to them, and then got slated as a 3 seed. I'm taking Notre Dame by 20 in this one. I think they're going to absolutely come out and just flat out beat them.
I just love what you said. They got double chip. I'm over here like, yeah, we got a chip. We got a chip. We better get this game. Like, I'm going to say that to them. Guys, we're out here with a chip. Like, let's get moving. Let's go. No, that's awesome.
If you're a competitor and you're on the Notre Dame team right now, like, you cannot wait for this game. That's where I'm at.
Completely.
And then, and then we want to talk about the Texas versus Tennessee matchup. This is a really tough matchup for Tennessee. This game is also on Saturday. It's at 3:30 Eastern. It's the second time both these teams are playing. Now that Texas is in the SEC, it's a conference game. We'll see what happens. I think Tennessee, and I mentioned it already, they're going to have to bring that 3 ball. They're going to have to be knocking down shots, and they absolutely have to play defense. We can't give Booker open mid-range shot after open mid-range shot from 15 feet. We will absolutely lose. Booker was the MVP in the SEC for Texas this year. Harmon is an amazing point guard. Like, we absolutely need to shut them down on the defensive end for our 3 ball to outpace their 2 ball. It's just a matter of fact there. So I think it's a really good matchup. I think because there's a lot of athleticism on the floor, that's going to be fun to watch. Like, it's going to be an entertaining game because of that. But really, we're going to have to bring it. This is a tough one, and it's a tough one for Texas also. I think any team that has to play Tennessee has to play against a different style here. So you're really having to, within tournament play, shift a lot of that mindset about your defense, about your offense, to prepare for their hockey style substitutions. But man, this is going to be a good one. I can't wait. I'm actually like so excited for it.
So just looking back when they played earlier in the season, this was a close game, right? Texas won by 4. But what you just mentioned was exactly what I was going to hit on, is Tennessee's subbing style and the way they play in general. I was just looking, Oldacre, who's a dominant, solid post player, was only able to play 11 minutes. She went 0 for 1, only had 1 foul, and frankly couldn't stay on the court, right? Because the style and the tempo that Tennessee plays at is just so hard to compete and stay with. I'm going to put a potential upset alert on this one.
I like it.
I feel like it could happen. I still think Texas has a lot of weapons that Tennessee has to consistently play the type of style in the game that they need, right? They can't have their lulls of where they go down like 15 or 17 against Texas, because I think that might cause a little problem. But I'm gonna go with Texas. I'm so sorry, but I think this could absolutely be an upset, Sid, without a doubt.
I agree. I'm gonna go Tennessee because I gotta go the real UT.
For sure.
I got to go the real University of Tennessee UT. There it is. I think we can do it. We've got everything has to line up for us, though. We have to absolutely be clicking on all cylinders and playing the style of ball that Kim Caldwell expects, and I think we can do it. So that's a good one to tune into. Again, it's 3:30 Eastern on Saturday.
Let's jump over to some new matchups that we have. This is the exciting part. This is the part of the Sweet 16 and March Madness that you can't wait to see these. And I wish we would have had more, right? But the first one we have is South Carolina plays Maryland today at 5 p.m. I think this one is going to be an interesting one just from the sense of obviously these are two different styles, right? But the same. They have their pros and cons in different positions, right? South Carolina, I think, just has an all-around better post game and a post presence about them with kits. I mean, not only that, but they take them off the drive. They can hit the outside shot. I just think South Carolina's coming in, and we've talked about them so many times, but I think they're going to win this one.
I think they're going to win this one probably pretty handedly. Honestly, the depth of South Carolina, Maryland, I don't think is going to be able to stack up to it, to be honest. So I'm also going South Carolina on this one. The second new matchup we want to talk about is UConn versus Oklahoma. This one is a really good matchup. So it's Saturday at 5:30 Eastern time. And let's talk about some of the personnel matchups in this one. So Oklahoma has Reagan Beers, big dominant post player down low. UConn has Sarah Strong, freshman post player, but boy, is she dominant. Both of these post players are phenomenal post players. So to see them go up against each other, I hope they're guarding each other.
Yep.
I think they will be. That's going to be super fun to watch. And then on the Oklahoma side, you've got Verhulst, who is an amazing guard, one of the best guards in the SEC to me. Like, she is capable of getting to the rack, hitting that mid-range game, knocking down the three ball. She's just an overall good leader when you watch her play. So Verhulst versus Beckers. And everyone knows Paige Beckers. Turn on the TV. She's all over commercials. She's all over Nike. One of the best players in the game right now. But it's a solid matchup here. If those two guard each other, I loved how Paige Beckers guarded JuJu earlier in the season. Like, we have seen Paige Beckers straight up say, okay, you're their best guard. I'm going to guard you. I think it could happen. And I just think this game is going to be a really good one because Oklahoma is playing so well right now. I think this is one of the best matchups of the weekend, which is a big thing to say because there's some good ones out there, but I think it's going to be juicy.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think you talked about the post matchup. I just think Sarah Strong is a bit more versatile, more plays out, hits the three, can take it off the drive. She's really like a guard in a post player's body. Like, that is how her game transitions just the length of the court. I mean, I think it's going to be challenging for the Oklahoma post players to just keep up, stay up, and always just know where she is, because it's kind of like a sneaky way that she gets all of a sudden like 20 points a game. It's like she just blows up. It's amazing. I also think AZ Fudd for UConn is going to be in AZ Fudd form, and I think it's going to be hard for Oklahoma to match her. But I will also say I think this is the game. If Oklahoma comes out clicking, they lock in defensively, over communicate on everything, because that's what you have to do when you play UConn. I think this could also be a nice potential upset here, and something that might change my Final Four at the end of the day.
There it is. I know. To me, I'm like, I could toss a coin on this one. I think I'm going to go UConn on it, which is like hard for me to do, but it's a 50-50 one to me. Yeah, honestly, yeah. I could see it going either way.
Yep, I agree. All right, let's jump into the third new matchup. We have LSU versus NC State, which is also tonight at 7:30. I think this is going to be good, Sid. And I know we've said that about all of these, but like, this is when it gets that good. You're not going to be in the Sweet 16 with the amount of the caliber of the games and the teams that we have this year without talking about it, right? So obviously we know LSU has Morrow inside. We know Flage from LSU. She's going to be there. She's going to be ready to go, right? But NC State has been coming on pretty strong, pretty confident, and pretty consistent. Now, I'm not saying LSU can't hang and stay with. I think we've kind of, we've been wanting them to play these competitive games where we can kind of really see what they're made of. And I think this is another one that is just one that's going to be icing on the cake, I think. If they're able to win this one convincingly versus NC State, I think they could pull off some upsets and really start disrupting some brackets. It's going to be hard because that next game would probably be UCLA, right? If we're just looking forward, and that would really be the true test of, I think, what this LSU team is capable of.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the game plan that Kim Mulkey puts together to compete against NC State. I think NC State is super athletic. I think they play really well together. They're fast, they're in your face, they're up tempo when they want to be. So that's going to be, it's interesting to stop NC State. So I'm curious to see what they do defensively to try to do those things. And then vice versa. NC State having to stop those players you called out, Morrow, Flage. I mean, LSU has some players that can flat out score when they need to.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
Morrow, what she does is unbelievable. Like the answer for Morrow for any of these teams, it's a tough one because that girl is she's, what is she, 6'1"?
She is 6'1".
It's
Why
yeah,
does she play like she's 6'5"? Like,
unreal.
that's amazing.
It is amazing. And I don't know if NC State has an answer for her, honestly. That'll be interesting to see. I think I'm going to go LSU on this one, but it's going to be a good game. That's for sure. All right, the next one, UCLA versus Ole Miss. Man, I hate to say it, but it might be the end of the road for Ole Miss because we do love Coach Yo and what they bring and what they preach on defense, but UCLA is so good, right? I just think, how do you stop Lauren Betts down low? Kiki Rice is such a good leader, and they're really clicking on all cylinders right now. They have been kind of all year. I just think it's a tough one for Ole Miss. We'll see. I don't know, but I'm taking UCLA by 15.
Yeah. I mean, exactly what you said. We love Old Miss and what they've done this season. Madison Scott, I think I just relate to her in so many ways, from her passion of the game, her vocalness. You can always tell by her face what she's thinking and feeling, which I love, right? Like I love an honest person. But UCLA, exactly what you talked about, the amount of weapons and the consistency they bring, it's going to be hard. I'm going UCLA as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably the safe pick for sure. That's today at 10 p.m. Eastern, so it's one of those later games. And then the last game we wanted to highlight is USC versus Kansas State. This one starts Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we mentioned it already, but JuJu tore ACL in the second round game versus Mississippi State. Just tragic for our game right now.
Yeah.
She is that X factor for women's basketball. She is that next Caitlin Clark status. I mean, she's already there. I think a lot of people know JuJu. She's becoming, and if not, has already become that household name for women's basketball. Just so to see her go down with this injury at this point in the season is like, dang, it's the biggest bummer of the season so far, without a doubt for me.
Yeah, no, this was really sad. And what makes it even more sad is she had tweaked her ankle the game before, jammed her finger. Like it, yeah, I just feel the wear and tear on her, and what she's carried this season has been a lot. And for her to end it this way in the tournament is beyond tough. I think for the women's game, it was almost like a little mourning, right? Everybody was like, they couldn't believe it. She is that next Caitlin Clark, like, period. She is. I just think USC did a great job of bouncing back, because it was touch and go there for a while, Mississippi State, but then they really turned it up. I do think they have the potential to continue to rally and beat Kansas State, and I think they're going to use this as momentum. And honestly, I think I texted you that it was the best I'd seen everyone else for USC play. Like JuJu or not JuJu, I was like, I didn't know these girls were this consistent and could really bring this, and the energy was good. So I think they can get one more, and then I think then it's gonna get tough for them in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I agree. I also would take them over Kansas State. We've kind of dogged Kansas State a little bit this year. Like, we haven't really highlighted them. They're a good team. I'm not knocking Kansas State. I just think USC, Erie Effin, I mean, they just have players that are really good on the USC side, even without JuJu. So I'm taking USC also. Let's jump into that fourth quarter.
Let's do it.
Let's do
what
it.
What are you thinking for your final picks? How does this, with JuJu being out, what happens now? Are you switching stuff up? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So the Final Four, it's tough this year because I think there's so many good teams that are left here in the Sweet 16. We'll see how they do in those matchups. We'll see what happens in the Elite Eight. So we're jumping the gun a little bit, but it's fun to kind of recalibrate, now that we have to with JuJu being out. I feel like we have to. Like I'm not putting USC in my Final Four anymore. If I had a chance to redo a bracket with JuJu out, I think she is that big of a presence and player for them. So I'm taking UConn in that spot now. I think they have the edge over Oklahoma, but we talked about it. Oklahoma's definitely capable of winning that one, so it'll be interesting. I think where I'm going to lean on UConn a little bit is I'm leaning on that experience with Gino and how he just turns it up in tournament time and gets to those Final Fours. I think that UConn gets to the Final Four now.
So obviously we know we can't redo brackets. We're able to pivot on the fly and add this as discussion.
Yep.
I'm also not going to go with USC for my Final Four now. Devastating. I just don't think they have the firepower they need to potentially get by Oklahoma or UConn. And because I went to Notre Dame and because of the rivalry, I'm going to rock with Oklahoma in hopes that they bring it, can match UConn's intensity, stick with Sarah Strong, lock in against AZ Fudd and Paige, and pull off an upset here. So I'm going to go with Oklahoma.
Yeah. And how cool if Oklahoma's in the Final Four. That's a team that you never hear about being in the Final Four. So it's a huge opportunity for them if they can get past these couple games. That's awesome.
Yeah. And a lot of like top recruits that are in high school now are keeping Oklahoma in their top 4 or 5. So this just, it's a lot of, it's good for Oklahoma all around, right? They're really known as a football school. So for them to kind of make waves in the women's basketball world and where girls want to go there, obviously NIL is a part of everything now, but I just think it's exciting to see them kind of come back around and get into the finals here. So props to them.
Yeah. To your point, they just got the #1 high school recruit in the country. The senior class just committed to Oklahoma. Oklahoma is here to stay, y'all. Like, I just think we're going to be talking a lot about Oklahoma potentially. So yeah, we'll see. And the other 3 teams that we had were the same in our Final Four. So we had UCLA, South Carolina, and Notre Dame were the other ones that we're still sticking with those, Becca.
Yeah, there's no change. No change. Notre Dame will be there. Let's go. Go Irish.
Go Irish. Yeah. It's going to be, if Tennessee wins against Texas and does pull off that upset, I think it's tough for us to go back-to-back upsets like that. I think it's possible, but we'll see. And then if Texas beats Tennessee, that Texas-Notre Dame rematch is a potential good one also.
Yes, without a doubt. And that's a tough road for Notre Dame, right? TCU being the underdog there as the 3 seed, then having to go to Texas, then potentially playing South Carolina. I think it's going to be interesting, and I'm just going to keep hoping for wins. All those chip, get some wins.
Survive in advance. Hey, my Lady Vols just got to win by 1 in all these games. Let's go.
Absolutely.
All right. I think we can go ahead and wrap up. So we walked through in our first quarter, the first round upsets. Second quarter, we hit the second round upsets. That third quarter, we hit the Sweet 16 matchups. Super excited for those to start today. And then into tomorrow. And then the fourth quarter, we recalibrated our Final Four picks with JuJu Watkins now being out for USC. So a full episode for y'all. It was a fun time. Becca, appreciate everything that you do with this podcast. And I think we have a ton of fun doing it. So we appreciate our listeners also for tuning in. And it's been a fun season. We're just going to have a couple episodes left here as we get to the end. So really appreciate everything. It's been a fun ride.
Yeah, without a doubt. This has been a blast. Obviously, this is the best part. We've prepped all season to talk about exactly this. But how crazy is it that we're already saying the next time you and I chat, we're going to be chatting on the Final Four and who we got to win it all. I think that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. And we're at the end here, and we've already talked about it. We're excited to come back next year and pick up with women's college basketball again. So we're not going anywhere. We'll just take a little bit of a hiatus in the off season, which will be nice to get a little rest. It's a lot of work throughout the week to put these together. So, but we've enjoyed it. So it's been fun.
Couldn't agree more. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Can always hit us up on our social medias. Going to continue to post there. Any questions or anything you guys want to chat about, don't hesitate to reach out.
Awesome. Thanks everyone. Talk to you soon, Beck.
See you, Sid.
That's the 28.5 final buzzer for today's episode. Don't forget to hit follow and download on your preferred podcast platform to catch every play-by-play. New episodes drop each week throughout the season.
If you've enjoyed our courtside chat, drop us a review or follow us on our social media accounts where you can send us questions that may be selected for our Team Huddle Q&A episodes. And remember, from females who have played the game, the size of the ball matters.